Why Not? A queer podcast.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine,
Why Not? A queer podcast.
episode 73.
I was jumping on those lines. I was so excited that we're recording a podcast again.
Yes.
That I was jumping all over the lines.
I know. What lines?
Well, like yours. I was
The
like,
wet lines.
I'm like, it's my turn. I'm going to. Why not?
You know. I like your enthusiasm.
That and.
Welcome back.
I know. We've been gone. We haven't recorded since June 5th.
Yes.
It's June 17th now. And I haven't had caffeine since then. And I'm half a can into this super caffeinated thing. And I'm wired.
That's funny. I have not had a glass of wine since. I'm just kidding.
I was like, bullshit.
That's a lie. I had wine last night.
I haven't had a glass of wine since lunch. That's what you meant.
Shh, my boss will hear.
Well, let's say thanks to our sponsor,
Let's.
Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
See, that was great.
That
All
was
we
fun.
needed was like 2 weeks off.
Yes. No stepping over our lines, no tripping over our words.
So we should apologize to everyone. I apologize that we didn't do the podcast last week. And this week we are not talking about what we told people 3 weeks ago we were going to, or 2 weeks ago we were going to talk about.
What did we tell people we're going to talk about?
Well, we kind of are. We told them we were going to bring up Ideal Home, which we are going to talk about, but we also said we were going to talk about So Fierce, Season 2. Did you watch any of it?
I did not. It's a good thing we're not going to talk about that today.
I don't know that we ever are. Maybe we will. You're going to watch an episode and decide.
Not today. Not today.
Right.
We will talk about it, but we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about it today.
I watched the... We're not going to talk about it
But you're
today,
gonna talk about it right
But
now.
I'm going to talk about it right now. I watched 3 episodes, and it was different last time because it was a train wreck. And because somebody we know and love was in it.
Yeah,
And we were
yeah.
just kind of like... Basically, we were talking every week about how Gidget Galore should have won everything and didn't. And
Absolutely.
that was the gist of our coverage of it. They've made changes this season. It's almost like they heard you, because you know what's not
They
there?
moved it out of Canada?
It's not. Never mind. Moving right along.
Sorry, not sorry.
They got rid of the laptop.
Oh, good.
They bring the people in. They've doubled their travel budget so the people come in.
Now that you mention that, maybe it was a COVID-related thing. Like, maybe they had the laptop because they were, like, they
But
couldn't
the
bring
rest
them
of them
in.
were there.
Maybe there's a very specific group in Canada that gets COVID.
It's the French Canadians.
Yeah. Those French.
The Freedom Canadians. I don't know what any of that means. So anyway, they made other changes.
Yeah.
They got rid of is it Barbada? The one with the shoe on the head?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a new host. It's a host I think the drag queen's name is Crystal. That was on RuPaul's UK. I don't mean to laugh when I say that. I'm sure they're all very talented, but I always think of, like, you know, when you think of, like, you know, America's Got Talent, and then you'll hear, like, Argentina's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And then you think, like, okay, how does that compare to this? So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're gonna watch RuPaul, watch RuPaul.
I bet there's a lot more tea on UK Drag Race. And I don't mean like the tea. I mean like
Yeah.
cheerio, the tea.
Like, yeah, they were on there and they're like, someone spilled the tea. And then they'll look over and there's somebody who actually spilled tea all over themselves.
Blimey. I don't know.
Is that a British
That's a
thing?
yeah, blimey.
Oh.
Governor.
We're so international. You know, we are available in the UK.
We are.
We're available in Canada. If you're a fan of So Fierce, you should listen to us. And you are right now.
Yeah. We're available in Indonesia.
We're everywhere. Sri Lanka.
We're everywhere.
You can listen to us in Russia if you want.
I don't recommend it. It's quite dangerous, I hear.
Oh, don't let anybody know you are.
Yeah.
Because we're queer.
We are. We are queer.
Get used to it.
Indeed. But
I
if
thought
you
I'd
are
only give
listening
a-
in Russia and you're worried now, here we'll make it okay. Vladimir Putin, yay! Play that clip for him.
No one take that soundbite out of the
And you'll
show
be
and
fine.
ever use it for anything.
That's just for cover. Don't share that with anyone in the U.S. government.
I can just hear her Spotify commercial now. Listen to Wine Why Not, a queer podcast. Putin, yay!
Now, if Trump wins in November, use that
Oh,
clip
hell
so
yeah.
that I don't get taken away.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It'll be called Chick-fil-A, not Chick-fil-A, and we'll be eating Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, USA, #1.
Okay. Yeah, the main difference, though, in this season than the other seasons is I don't really hate anyone. There's one person. There's one.
Anyone listening from the first season just heard that. They're like, fuck you.
Oh, please. I'm talentless. Like, make fun of me all you want. Like, you know what I mean?
But you're valid.
I
We hated everyone.
We
Not
kinda
everyone.
did.
We loved Gidget.
Oh, but no, there's a guy on this season who
Yeah.
is amazing. His work is beautiful. It's the kind of thing that I find beautiful. It's like, you know, not like that. Oh, let me put a dead bird in a cage on a face and throw it out there like that one girl did. Anyway, I don't think she actually did that, but she might as well have. But there's one guy, I call him George Santos, because he just reminds me of it, and he's super awkward.
Are you
And
sure it's not George Santos? Because I hear he's out of work.
I am not sure, but I can say like he doesn't. He is either a big and tall or a big or tall person who does not shop in the big and tall section of a store. So you see a lot of skin in the belt area at first. But, you know, it's interesting. So you watch a couple episodes. We'll decide if we're going to talk about it.
All right.
It's all good.
Sounds good.
Well, do you want to jump right into your week? I mean, it's been a week and a half or so.
Sure.
So what you got?
Couple things. First, I will start with the most recent and work my way back. Because
You remember it.
since we're yes, because it's fresh on my mind.
There are things that I wrote down I don't remember.
But since we're talking about things that we watched that we're not going to talk about, but we'll talk about, the second season of House of the Dragon premiered last night. And oh my God, I can't tell you how much I love this show. It is so good. And one of the leads is a non-binary performer. So maybe you get on the ball and you start watching this and we can talk about it.
Okay, but that's what you have to do. You have to tell me that this is work-related and I have to watch it.
Yes.
It's the same thing that happened with Game of Thrones. I watched the first episode 5 times before I could get past it. It just was not interesting to me.
And then you got obsessed.
And so, like, yeah, and then I got obsessed. So the first time, it was magical icemen. And I'm like, why do I want to watch a show about magical icemen? That sounds lame. But it's not. The whole show isn't about that. It's about something else. It just starts that way and ends that way.
Yeah.
And so I want, and so this one, it's like, dragons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dragons.
I used to like Dragonberry. Is that what it was called?
What?
Shots I used to do. Is there a drink? Is there a liqueur like that's called like Dragonberry or?
Sure. There's dragon fruit.
Yeah. So it must have been that. Anyway, used to drink that a lot.
But anyway, it's an amazing show. You should check it out.
And there's gay stuff.
And there is some gay stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And the first season, there's a gay relationship. There's a traumatic gay murder that happens. And then Emma Darcy
kill the gays off?
is non-binary. So and they're one of the leads. They're the lead actually. Yeah.
They killed off the gay in the first season of Game of Thrones too.
Oh, they did. One of them. Yeah. There's two. They kill
Okay.
off the lesser known of the two gays.
Is it the sexually active one? I just want
Well,
to
they're
know what I'm
sexually
getting
active with
into.
each other.
Oh, and then it makes the other one not gay anymore.
Well, he's still gay. He finds himself another boyfriend.
Oh, okay, good.
But he also enters into, I don't want to give the whole thing away, but he enters into an arranged
Another
marriage
person?
with the non-binary
Oh,
actor, but they are female in the role. The role is a female. Rhaenyra, I think is her name. And she is like the one the show's like the badass in the show.
All
Love
right.
her.
all right.
Anyway,
I'll watch
check
it.
it out. It's fantastic. But
Let's-
watch it last night.
Now, how quickly are you? There's 10 episodes in the first season.
10 episodes in the first season.
I have 11
The second
seasons.
season will be 8
So I have
episodes.
have 15 episodes to watch because I still have to watch the first episode 3 times.
Yeah.
To get through it. Okay. How fast do you want this to happen? Because I am watching a new show, and I'm addicted to it, and it's gonna be difficult for me to put it down.
Is it on CBS or Out TV?
I appreciate that you know me, friend. But it's on neither. It's on Max.
What?
I've started watching Succession, and I'm obsessed.
Oh, okay, yeah. Finish that, and then we'll talk. Maybe what we'll do is you finish Succession, then you get caught up on House of Dragon, and we'll talk about the show before the season 2 finale.
Okay.
So you've got till August 4th, I believe, is when the season finale is.
Okay. So I've got to get through 34 episodes of Succession, and then 12 to 13 or 14 episodes of House of Dragons by August. Okay. I can do a season a week because Jen, I'm watching it with Jen.
Yeah.
And so I can only watch it on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. So
Gotcha.
we'll probably get through the first season tonight.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure each
I'm
of
gonna
the
skip my
seasons
12
of Succession is 10 episodes.
I'm going to skip my 12-step meeting so that I can watch a show about a guy who does cocaine off of his phone. I'm sure I'll be fine.
I support your choices.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do. I can't believe I said cocaine. It's going to come up again. I do have a cocaine comment to make later in this episode.
Interesting.
Anyway, so let's just shoot back and forth some things we started watching. So I started watching Succession, which I'm obsessed with. I don't like anyone in this show.
I don't think you're supposed to like anyone in the show, although some will
Do you know who I
grow
like?
to you.
Do you know who I like? What's the wife's name? The old lady. Is it Marie? The old.
Oh, the father's
Yeah.
wife. I can't remember her name, but yeah, she's.
Her son. I like her son.
Of course you do.
He's cute.
Yeah.
And an adult, by the way. If you've not watched Succession, I think it's important to point out.
I don't think that you're supposed to watch this show and root for them. I didn't. Maybe I'm just.
You know what? I take that back because there's got to be somebody that's the antagonist to. Even if your protagonist is a jerk, there's got to be an antagonist to it. So the antagonist would be somebody that you like. So I'm gonna say is his name Charlie? What's the guy's name that in the very first episode? It's the Asian guy, and he says, I'm going to buy out your company. And the guy's like, no, you're all terrible. You're not going to buy my company. And then he ends up giving him a board seat and buys the company. I like that guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's in it
because he's like, I want to destroy you all. So I'm assuming he gets destroyed at some point. But I'll tell you what the last episode I watched was. The episode where he tried to oust the father, and he lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this guy, he can't get anything right.
Yeah, that right up there in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
His name is, it's gone now. Rob Lee or something? Rob Yang. Okay.
So yeah, it's a great show. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like my brother, when he watches something, he has to have like somebody who he roots for. Like he's like, oh, they're good people and I need to root for them. I can watch a show full of terrible, horrible people and still enjoy the show. He needs to have like a hero to root for or some shit.
I don't think that I don't think there's anything wrong with your brother. I'm on board. I gotta like one person. Just one person.
You can't just appreciate a show for the entertainment value. Did you watch The Sopranos?
I did.
Did you like any of them?
I liked Tony's.
They're all criminals.
No, I loved. I get it, but they're likable criminals. You know what I mean? Like a criminal can be a nice person and a good person. I mean, just look at our convicted experts. I can't even say it without laughing. No, I mean I liked Tony Soprano. I liked his wife. In the show, even though she was super flawed as well. So, I mean, you can be flawed. These people are just nasty. And also, part of what I can't stand, and I don't know if that Culkin guy is acting or not. Because he comes across to me as just like his character is. And, I mean, again, I can only go on the first season. You probably watched it a while ago, so I don't know if you remember all this. But that baseball game where he's going to he wrote that check for that kid for $1 million if he got a home run, and he didn't, and he just ripped it up in his face and all this stuff. Like, come on. You could have given him something a little more than a watch. But anyway, they're all terrible people. I enjoy the show. Clearly,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the whole thing. So when I say I don't like them, doesn't mean anything because I'm gonna watch it. Speaking of shows of unlikable people, I also watched. It's been a while, I'll get into this, but I've been sick, so I've just been sitting at home watching TV, and I watched the 2-episode documentary series about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
So I.
Yeah, he's out there.
It
doing
is.
his thing.
I gotta tell you, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say something wrong. I know it. I just get ready for it. I don't mean to. It's not something I've seen before. Watching a show where men are talking about, where straight men are talking about being sexually assaulted, and there's just, I mean, there was. I would say, oh, this is interesting, but I don't mean like, oh, this is really cool. It's interesting. It's just to see like that sort of that degradation that exists when women are telling the story. It's just it's interesting to me how universal and terrible that is, I guess is what I'm saying. But then with this added element where they think like this isn't supposed to happen to me and I'm supposed to be macho and I can't be upset about this. I always thought it was all very fascinating. Without giving too much commentary on it, I think that it's awful what happens to people, in that, especially when you're just trying to make it, and you're like, oh, I want to do this thing, and then somebody's like, you're gonna do this thing, and you're like, what? And then that one guy was like, after a while, okay, if it gets me apart, and then it didn't.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. It was totally crazy.
And like, I don't understand. I'm not on any of these juries, but I just don't. I don't understand this documentary. And we talked about this, the other one with Nick Carter, where it's like, here's these stories, these horrible things they did, and then they'll pop up a slide that says none of this happened, or none of this was ever proven, or that kind of a thing. And I know it's like they legally probably need to say that to cover their ass because they're doing this documentary on these claims. But I just don't understand how these stories aren't translating into like some sort of criminal activity, because it sounds a lot to me like it's criminal. So anyway.
Yeah, I know a lot of these. That's the time limits have passed and
statute of
limitations. Thank you. So I know a lot of them are coming forward and they aren't able to.
But didn't they Didn't they lift statute of limitations out of California?
I think it was just in California. A lot of what I realized is a lot of things that happened with Kevin Spacey happened. Like a lot of the focus was put on what happened in England, because that's where most of the cases happened, or at least that went to trial. And I didn't really study the cases well enough to say, oh, well, here's why they found him not guilty or they acquitted him of this. But yeah, I will say, because you mentioned this earlier, he did an interview with Piers Morgan last week, and while he was found not guilty, he is going bankrupt and owes millions and is having to sell his house, and he cried on Piers Morgan. And I know I shouldn't have
having to sell his house, not the potential destruction that he's done to
I mean, the little bit of joy that seeing someone as monstrous as him cry on television,
it was cringy. It was cringy to watch, like, old interviews. The way that they used it in this documentary just made him cringy to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot ever since the Nickelodeon one came out. Max has been like, there's our bread and butter, and they've just been dropping them. I got the Nick Carter one, Aaron Carter, Kevin Spacey.
And certain felony sex offenses in California still have statute of limitations.
I can't see with the light in the way, but she said something. She was Caitlin, for those who don't hear her, is listing off the charges that were brought up on Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, but all of the, are there any active cases or? Oh, okay. Well, you don't know, because I actually can't see it either.
Yeah, I can't see it and I can't hear you.
And we can't like go more than 5 seconds
Yeah.
without
It'll be just
speaking.
dead air if we're listening
If we
to you
wait
look
and
up
listen,
things.
yeah,
So
so-
we'll move on. What else did you do this week?
What did you do?
You know what I did?
I hijacked your week. So.
I had some friends at Disney invite me because my birthday was last week.
Oh yeah.
And my birthday is on June 12th, which is also the day of the Pulse tragedy.
Yeah.
So I don't really celebrate my birthday on my birthday. It's more or less just going to memorial services and ceremonies and hugging people and then quietly whispering in my ear, "Happy birthday." And they're like, "Happy birthday." And I was like, "Thank you." And then we just move on with the morning. So this year I was invited by a friend to go to Disney to partake in the Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
How did this come about? I'm just curious because I know that there was like this whole they were doing media things and then they were doing pass
This particular
holder
one
things.
is a friend of mine who works at Disney. Well,
Oh,
a friend
okay.
of my brother's who works at Disney. And she got me in on they were doing workers, I forget what they call them, but like a workers event.
Oh, got it.
So she got me in to do that, and then that night they were doing a soiree, which was like this little party, and they
So you were like, what do you call them, workers? And I was thinking, well, Michael Eisner would call them, monkeys. But go ahead, because he did
oh, did he?
on a 60-minute interview. I think we brought this up once in the 73 podcast that we do, but he was the CEO. Of
I know who
Disney.
he is. I've
Yeah,
never
and
heard
he
of him.
was on 60 Minutes, and they were complaining because there was like a strike and people wanted to make more money, and he was like, "What do they need more money for? Monkeys could do this job."
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, employees love it when you say that. But anyway, go on.
I mean, that was basically it. It was a good party. The ride is, I mean, I know there was a lot of controversy because
Is there a party involved? You went to a party?
I went to a soiree, which I don't know if you know this, is a party.
Huh. Like a hootenanny?
Sort of like a
I
hootenanny,
think
yeah.
that it was more like a hootenanny. So for the employee, there was an employee party.
Yeah, and apparently they've been doing this for like 2 weeks.
And there was
there was a
food?
bunch of there was food, there was dancing, there was a jazz band.
See, I got invited to go as a pass holder. There was no hootenanny.
Yeah. Danny, apparently this was a multi-day hootenanny. Danny went as well and hootenannied with he was lucky enough to go on the day when the mayor was there. I didn't get to go to the mayor party.
Well, that sounds like it sounds to me, right, that you guys don't have annual passes and don't give $200 a month to this company, and you get a hootenanny, and I do, and I get nothing. I even spend money on products. Let me cover it up so that I don't. Have
The I mean, you got to get in with somebody who works there, because I think that's how Danny worked his too. I think he knew
they
somebody
did
who
it. That
worked
was
there.
a gay thing. They were like, they invite all like the gay
center
organizations
and
to
stuff?
come and do
Ah.
things. That's how. Yeah, we're not included in that.
But yeah, so
Media,
So yeah, I did that. The ride was fine. I was never a big Splash Mountain person, but if you enjoyed Splash Mountain, it's still the same drop. So the thrill of the ride is still there. And the animatronics and stuff, Disney does a good job with those. So
Yeah, I too did this, but on a different day. I went on last Sunday on Father's Day.
oh,
'Cause,
lovely.
Fathers.
Yeah.
And so we're as annual pass holders, there were certain days that you could make a reservation and go, but you still had to get up at like 7 a.m. and try to get in line, the virtual queues so that you could go ride the ride.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting it. So we're like, great, let's go. We assumed that around 11 would be the time that group number 33 would be called. So we decided to get on our way there. At 10:20, they called our group, and we were in dead stop traffic. There was an accident ahead of us. So we had to run to get there. And like literally, as you're getting up to the thing to check in, they say pull out your phones. So they called us at 10:20, which means we had until 11:20 to get there. And as we're walking up, they're like, pull up your phone. And Jen goes to pull up her phone. And as soon as she pulls it up, it goes from, like, you're up now to, expired. And we were like, what? But they were like, it's fine. Go ahead. So they let us go in. And I thought it was great. I didn't see the movie. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie when it was in theaters.
Why is that hilarious? I just haven't seen it. You know why? And I apologize to all of our fans, in the French Quarter. But I'm not a jazz, New Orleans kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't, beignets, yes. Also, I noticed this. There are beignets everywhere in that line. Where do they sell them? Nowhere. They don't sell them in the park.
I thought they were selling them for.
I didn't see any. Oh,
I don't know
what?
where in the park.
You probably had
They
some.
had them at the soiree.
Yeah, you probably.
I mean, I don't want to run through the list, but they had beignets, they had gumbo, they had jambalaya,
Nothing.
they had Tiana and what was the prince's name in that?
Do you know what?
Naveed.
Do you know what they had for us?
The gator was there. Louis.
Oh, they had gator. That's classic.
You know who else was there? What's her name? She was on the cover of our spring arts guide. She did Josephine. Why is her name?
Oh, I know who you mean.
Why can't I remember her name? Oh my god.
This is how it starts.
My memory is gone.
We're hitting that age.
Tatiana. No.
No, Tish.
Tish. Yes.
No,
Tish.
no.
Yeah.
Is it?
Maybe.
No. Tamisha.
Tamisha
I get
Harris.
it, Tamisha.
There you go. You triggered it. She was there. She was working. She was one of the jazz dancers.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it was really good. It was a lot of fun.
So you're probably not on this. Oh, I was gonna say, you know what they served us? They served us a reservation to Crystal Palace, where I paid a fortune. It's good though. I enjoy Crystal Palace. It's just so low key and nice, and when the characters come around, because I like characters, and they, it's real like, hey, get your picture, whatever.
Remind me, Crystal Palace.
That's-
Is that the one with Winnie the Pooh where
Yeah.
we did breakfast? Okay.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh.
That was nice.
And if you haven't been lately, Winnie the Pooh looks like he's had some Ozempic. Good for him.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Hopefully that fan of yours on likes to comment on Facebook is okay with that. But Winnie the Pooh eats a lot of honey, so he probably has a high sugar count.
He does. He does.
But so I'm a member of the annual pass holder chat group on Facebook.
Sure.
I don't know if you have ever had the dubious honor of reading anything that's on this, but it is full of horrible, terrible, nasty people who just rip each other apart, like constantly ripping each other apart. So they are just like destroying this ride. Like
That does not sound like the magic of Disney I'm used to.
like somebody was like if a rainbow shows up in a Disney movie, somebody will take a screenshot and put it in there and be like, Disney's destroying itself with all this gay stuff. Like, how dare they put a rainbow on? So it's there's that, and then there's people would say, like, people are very up in arms that Splash Mountain's gone.
Yeah.
Not my Splash Mountain, and it's just silly. It's complete silliness. The ride is great. It's like 12 minutes long. It's super long, and it's cute. And there were things about it that I thought were really kind of like super well done. Like when you're dark and you're in that little cave and all the pretty lights are there. Yeah, I think they did a great job. The animatronics were great. I'm a fan. So I'm going to go in that group and I'm going to say, I don't know what whiny people are talking about. It's super good. There's one person that just constantly, every time somebody says something nice about it, like, it's not Splash Mountain. She's very angry.
Actually, it's exactly Splash Mountain. The only thing is they pulled out the racist hair and put in Tiana and her gator.
Yeah, and
The
like,
gator makes is a much bigger part of the ride than like the lightning bug, which I thought would be more involved because I like the lightning bug.
I don't know what any of this means.
Do you remember? You didn't see it, but did you see it in theaters, Caitlin? No. Oh, she didn't. She was probably just a baby. But I went and saw it. I was working at Express Scripts at the time, and my friend Alex. We went. It was like a date night for both of us. But she's straight and I'm gay, so it wasn't like that kind of date. But we went on a date night and we watched it, and I thought it was hilarious how choked up we got. Spoiler alert! At the death of the. When the light bug dies, we were both like, oh my God, got choked up over a lightning bug. You should watch the movie. It's
Well,
a cute
now I don't
movie.
need to see it.
It's a cute movie. Anyway, so I did that, and then obviously the pole stuff. We me and Caitlin, we went to the 49 Bells.
I always like that event.
Yeah. It was,
which surprises me, right? Because it's in a church, and I just think it's just really, it's just nice and reflective, and
yeah.
I really
so
enjoy
they
it.
The only thing that was a little odd to me about it is they get up and they read the names, and then you read a name, the bell rings. You read a name, the bell rings. The bells started late, and then as people went up, they read the names on the list like really quickly. So even after they finished the name, the bells were still going. And then the priest got up and did a prayer, and the entire time they're doing the prayer, the bells are still ringing. And I was like, are the bells going to stop? Because they're the whole time, bells were just going. But it was a really good event. Patty Sheehan came and sat next to us. And
I like Patty.
Yeah, I love Patty. Mayor sat right behind us, so we felt like we were in the
It should be her sticker for
VIP
mayor. Is she
area.
running for mayor?
I don't know. Maybe. Buddy Dyer did announce this will be his last term.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to have to run.
Somebody is. I'd wear a button that says I like Patty. Yeah.
Patty Mayer. Anybody listen to watch Doug? Patty Mayo? No? All right. Well, there
Did
you
this
go.
ever go through your head at all during this when the bells are going off? Do you ever sing every year when we start talking about events and the 49 Bells comes up? In my head, from that moment until like a week or two after, I keep singing I Can Hear the Bells from Hairspray. This is just me?
don't.
Just me?
Just you.
Are you doing it right now, though?
No,
Since
because
I
I don't know
mentioned
that
it.
song.
Oh, really?
No. But when you said bells, what I do hear in my head is Hunchback of Notre Dame, bells, bells,
Okay.
bells, bells.
All right.
That's
same
what I
same
get.
difference. I'm going to play I Can Hear the Bells from Hairspray, and then it'll just replace that. But yeah.
One other thing that
So
happened.
while this guy's doing his prayer, you're like, bells, 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 bells.
While I was there, me and Caitlin got there. I did some street parking, put my money on my meter, did my little app thing, and waltzed on into the church, fully confident that when I left the church and I got to my car, there would not be a parking ticket on it. Unfortunately, there was a parking ticket on there, because apparently some people don't know how to read a meter. I had put money on the meter, 2 hours. It said 2 hour limit. And about 40 minutes into my 2 hour stint, they put a parking ticket on my window. And then they were like, go to this website. We took photos. Ooh, you took photos. So I pulled it up, and she got photos of my car. Took photos of my little pineapple in my dashboard, as if I wouldn't know that was my car. She's like, by the way, I can tell it's your car for the pineapple. Because I have a little
She's
dancing
like, I'm
pineapple.
giving this swinger a ticket.
And then it plainly says on there that the time that I have the 2 hour thing. So anyway, I had a call, and they're like, well, we'll investigate it, look into it. Investigate what? Anyway,
You should run for mayor.
I
Fix
should.
this.
I'm going to remove all of the meters from downtown.
It's funny how we had like different weeks, but they were very similar, like or different times. So, you know, like I've been doing this Weight Watchers thing. We talk about it. Like we'll talk about it all the time. It's like CrossFit. If you're doing it, you have to talk about it. So I've been eating really well, and for 2 weeks now, Dylan's been like every night. He's like, hey, let's go to there's this place called Yogurtology, which is frozen yogurt. And he's like, come on, let's go. And so finally, I was like, okay, I saved up enough points and then I looked up, and it's like a point per ounce. So you get like a cup for 8 points. That's not bad. I was like, so let's go. We'll go get Froyo. And so we go and we get it, and he's like, thanks, this is great. He really wanted it. And on the way home, I'm at a red light, and the light turns green, and I pull forward, and all of a sudden, just bright lights flashing, right? Like red and blue. And I'm like, now, listen, I don't know if I've gotten into this a lot, but I got arrested 9 years ago.
For what?
Well, for the for the suspicion of a DUI. All charges were dropped after thousands of dollars in community service and all that good stuff that comes along with it.
Also, can I just say the way that you said when you're talking about going to get frozen yogurt, you're like, so I told Dylan we could get it, and you were like, oh, thanks, man. like thanks, Dad. You've been good this week. I'll take you for some froyo.
He was very grateful. And it was Father's Day weekend. I wanted
He
to be.
was very
I
grateful.
wanted to be a good daddy.
Oh, my.
So
Anyway, so the cops pull you over.
So I'm like, I see the lights, and I'm like instantly like, taken back to that moment. I'm instantly shaking.
Oh, yeah.
I pull over, and I'm like, let me let this cop get past me. No, he pulls up behind me, and gets out. Now I'm shaking. I'm like, what's he gonna ask for? Do I have everything that I need? And my car is loaded. So
What flavor yogurt did you get?
Well, I had to get, in order to get the 1 point per ounce, I have to get whatever is 0 fat, no sugar added. So this was.
It wasn't butter rum, was it?
It was, it was cheesecake.
Oh,
it was like some sort of cheesecake thing. Which is weird because like I can't get vanilla. I have to get this other thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the vanilla would be.
You
more
know what's
points.
weird is when I was not to take over your story real quick, but just really quick, the
I don't think you know how it ends. So
the
you couldn't-
pudding cups. When you go to Publix, like their regular pudding is like high calories, but they have a sugar-free cheesecake pudding that is 0 calories, and it's absolutely delicious.
Isn't that weird?
Apparently, there are no calories in cheesecake.
I-
I just learned this.
Which is weird because there's all that cheese.
I'm gonna stop and get a cheesecake after work. 0 points.
Like that cheesecake and Friends that they would eat off the floor. Okay, so the guy walks up, and I'm thinking maybe there's something wrong with my car because I've got all the stuff for Polk Pride in the car because it's Friday night and in the morning we're going.
Maybe it's blocking the window or something.
Right, like it's blocking something, or maybe it's weighing the car down, and the guy's like, you got a dead body back there. What's going on? So he walks up, and he was like, hey there. He's like, are you wondering why I pulled you over? I was like, yeah. And he's like, apparently your tag's expired. And I was like, what? How is my tag expired in the middle of the year? And he goes, yeah, it says January 2024. So I never apparently...
You mean 23?
No.
We're in 24.
Right. But it expired in January on my birthday.
Oh, yeah, because January already
2024.
happened.
Right.
Gotcha.
See, now you get my confusion. But I'm like, I don't... Apparently, I never renewed my tags. 6
Yeah.
months ago. I've been driving around on expired tags for 6 months, and it took this froyo cop to point it out to me.
Wow. Way to step up, officers of Florida. You've let him go for 6 months.
Do you know how many miles I drive?
Yeah.
And I'm always on the road.
I don't mean to call anybody out, so I won't use his name. I won't use his name. But a certain person who's coming back from New York this summer, and his tags are expired. And I kept telling him, I was like, you need to get those renewed. And he goes, I'll renew them when I get back. And I said, all right, well, you're going to drive. You're going to cross that border. And I bet you don't make it from the Florida-Georgia border to Orlando without a cop pulling you over. But apparently he will.
Oh,
Apparently he'll be fine.
Do you know what about that too? It doesn't matter where you are. If your tags are expired, if your car is parked in your driveway on expired tags, they can give you a ticket.
Yeah, in Florida. Yeah. He's
So-
not worried because he's in New York.
Yeah. So I got a ticket, $115. But I renewed my tags while he was writing the ticket. So when he comes back, I'm
And he
like,
still wrote the
"It's
ticket?"
done." Well, he had already written it.
Oh,
And that lie, can't rip it up once we write it. So anyway,
that's
but
not true. I rip it up all the time.
he did say, if I call the courthouse that
Yeah.
they'll knock it down to $10 maybe. But it's nerve-wracking because I'm so afraid of getting pulled over just in case. Like, let's just say I'm in some county that doesn't like gay people, and I think it's obvious that I'm gay. So if I get pulled over and
You're also driving an electric car, which is pretty gay.
well, and so let's just say you're in some area where they hate people who drive electric cars
Yeah.
and gay people, and then they look and say, oh, well, this asshole got a DUI, which I didn't. Just got a ticket for it. But then they're like, oh, well, maybe he's drunk now. And then they just start screwing with you
Yeah.
and make you take a field test and then say, see, all you have to do, I don't think people realize this. This is why if I was still drinking, I would never drive if I had a sip of alcohol, because it doesn't matter what you think or if you get wrongly arrested. If you get arrested and they drop all the charges or you win, that doesn't change the fact that the DMV is going to put a ding on your record and that you're going to pay thousands of dollars to fix it. And so the second time, even if you don't get arrested, if you get arrested and it goes into the system and then they let you go and say, sorry, our bad, you still get stuck with all that, and it's like double the payments. So it always makes me nervous because you never know who's going to walk up to that door. This guy was very nice, and I'm sure he listens to the podcast, so thank you for being very nice, and thank you for all the advice, and I'll definitely get that taken care of. Well, I mean, I got to, so.
Yeah, I like to keep a veterans sticker on my window, and I also like to use my country voice when they pull me over. I'm like, "Howdy, officer. Mag a day to you," and they're like, "On with you, white man."
Oh my God, I can just hear them. Dispatch, we got one of those deliverance gays.
Whatever gets me out of the ticket.
Jeremy's like, "Hey, officer, you sure do got a pretty mouth." Sweet. I don't think that would get you out of that ticket.
It has. So yeah, that was.
And then wait, I mean, there was Polk Pride.
Oh, that's right, we did
Polk Pride, which is great. Polk Pride's a good event. It's one of the good ones. You know, like they're not all good. They're all good, but this is like one where the community is just loves having it, and that's important. You know, it's not just like, oh, let's go wave a flag and watch a parade. They're like invested in what's going on. So I like it.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, yeah, I don't have much to say about that.
So that was cool. Yeah, that's what I say.
We saw what? Oh, that's right. We did. We saw our sponsors. 2 tenths over Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
An award-winning primary care,
Yes.
care clinic right here in Orlando and
Lakeland. Yes.
See,
where they had Polk Pride. Full circle.
Yeah.
There we go.
See, that's why, and we bring it up because we didn't do a podcast last week, and we're going to give them several commercials throughout this. So it was cool. It wasn't as protesty as it usually is when I was there. I don't know what it was like when you were there.
No protesters at all. And night busy. Everybody was excited. Yeah, seemed like a good time.
Sweet. Very nice. Yeah, that was that. I mean, I didn't do much. Well, no, that's not true. I did things not realizing that I had COVID. So if you saw me out without a mask on, I apologize. But like, Jen had a cold like a couple weeks ago.
Did we mention this early in the podcast, or is it the first time
This is the first time we're bringing it up.
Oh, yeah. You had COVID.
Yeah, I had COVID.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it. And she's like, "Oh, it's just a cold." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, I hope I don't get sick." But I left here like Tuesday, went home.
Oh, that's
felt
right.
fine.
We saw Clue.
Yeah, we saw Clue. And she was there.
So much has happened.
Right. She was sitting there too, but you didn't get it.
No.
I did.
I got knock on wood, thank you, to the VA and my doctors for constantly harping on me to be up on my vaccines. I got boosted at the beginning of May with the new booster, and I love it.
But I got the new booster. When was that?
The new booster was like January timeframe.
Yeah. So whenever that was, and they said, "Get it," I got it like right away. I get if they open up a shot for me, I get it right away. So I think it's time, government, for you to tell people to get another one because I would like to have not had it. Now I've always been asymptomatic. I've had it a couple of times, and it was asymptomatic. This was not that case. Mm-hmm. Jen got it pretty bad right off the bat, but it didn't start showing up in me until Wednesday night, and. So I was out at an event. Everything all right there?
Yeah, no, you keep going. I'm just, she's got the COVID new
okay.
CDC COVID pulled up behind you.
Oh, okay. So we're and I was out at an event, and when I got home from that event, I was like, oh, I feel kind of down or whatever, and I took a COVID test, and it was negative, but then like the Friday after that I took it, it was positive. But because the Rays game was coming up, Pride game at the Rays. And I was like, so I immediately was like, as soon as that test had a faint little line in it, I'm like, give me that Paxlovid. Because the doctor said if you have Paxlovid for 24 hours, that you can go out in public if you wear a mask. And I was like, I want to see this game that I spent an insane amount of money on to get these tickets. And so I did that, and I had a great time. I love the Rays. I'm just going to say
Who was there? Who went to the game with you?
I went, Ryan went, Dylan went, Jen went, my brother went, and Caitlin went.
How are you feeling, Caitlin?
Jen didn't go.
Oh, Jen was supposed to go, but she didn't go because she had COVID. And so, but she was in Orlando and had to drive over. I was going to say, I had COVID, but I went. But I wore a mask, and it was fine. According to the doctor, if you got COVID because you saw me at that Pride game, then you come talk to me about it, and we will talk to the doctor. Anyway, so that's why Dylan went. But they gave out these shirts that I love. Like, we got there so early because they were giving out these. It said Rays on it, but it was in a rainbow. The Rays were, and they're like baseball jerseys, and I love
Rainbow
that
on a logo at Pride. Riveting. Just kidding.
How else would they know you're gay?
For those who can't hear, Caitlin is reciting Devil Wears Prada over there to herself.
So that was great. I love the race thing. I love it every year. So I like to talk about them, so to encourage them to keep doing it always.
Fantastic.
But
Way to go,
let me
Rays.
tell you, have you ever been on Paxlovid?
No, they didn't
It
have that when
sucks.
I had COVID.
Sucks. It's nice that it stops COVID from being deathly and awful, but it puts this taste in your mouth that is the most. Bleh. It's so gross, and
Is
there's
it
nothing you
liquid?
can do about it. Huh?
Is it
No.
liquid, a pill?
No, it's a pill. 3 pills. 3 pills twice a day for 5 days. And it's like, oh, and God forbid you wake up in the middle of the night to have to go to the bathroom. It's just, thinking about it makes me taste it again. I can't even describe it. It's the grossest, most annoying flavor.
Maybe because the people who are taking it aren't supposed to have their sense of smell or taste.
Well, no, Jen lost her.
Yeah.
Lost her.
She's just popping the Paxlovid. She's like,
No,
this
she
is
could.
good.
No, but she could. She had that taste in her mouth. She couldn't taste food or smell it, but she could taste that crap. It's nasty. Also, it did something to my body that I don't want to get into too much detail. But let's just say some unexpected things would happen when I'd cough really hard.
Oh.
So I had to start clenching every time I had to cough or sneeze. I lost control of some things.
Oh. Did you have the Oprah going on?
I had what I called the COVIDish shitties.
Ah. Yeah. The
Sorry
Oprah
about
was,
that to your brother. I know he loves toilet humor.
Oprah
but-
was sick last week or 2 weeks ago. And Gail, her best gal pal
right.
Gail, was on CBS this morning and said, sorry Oprah couldn't be here. She had it coming out both ends. And the internet, much like Oprah, lost their shit. And they had Oprah on, and she had I apologize, and she's like, it's fine, girl, I don't care.
You know, I like to say that I pulled a Margaret show. Have you ever seen her stand up?
I don't think so.
She tells this story about being like in LA traffic and having to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's
and
the
just
worst.
like sitting there, she had no choice but just to let it go.
Let it go, yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like just sitting in it, and it starts to get cold, and she's like,
Ah.
it's a whole thing that's hilarious. And I'm just like, so I'd say I just Margaret showed. I need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I'm not going to give the details, but I have Margaret showed myself.
I think if
And you
you
just
haven't,
sitting there.
then you haven't lived.
You're just sitting there in the dark of the parking lot of your apartment complex because you just missed getting home. And you're just sitting there rethinking your entire life, just stewing in your own juices.
Listen, if you've never done that, then you need to live a little. You need to make poorer decisions.
Yeah. I mean, there's that moment. I don't want to get too into this, but there's that moment when you're like, I'm gonna make it home. I'm gonna make it home, and your ass is just like, I have fought the good fight, and I can't fight anymore, and it just lets loose, and you're like, fuck it, just let the muscles loose and just let it go. You're gonna have to clean it up anyway.
I cannot say. Anytime that I have done anything like that, it's been unexpected. So I have not had to make the decision.
Yeah.
It's me trusting things I shouldn't trust. A cough, a sneeze,
Yeah.
a fart. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on my way back from an Equality Florida event. No,
Hey,
I mean, I was, but I won't go. We'll stop there.
Speaking of shitty things, do you want to talk about this film we watched?
Oh, sure. Oh, God. We're already almost
I
an hour
know.
in. Yeah, let's talk about this
Because,
film.
we're going to talk about the Tonys for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So let's get into the film.
Let's do the film real quick.
We watched Ideal Home.
Yes.
Starring
Paul Rudd and Steve Coogan. And we mentioned this beforehand, but you were mentioned, obviously we know who Paul Rudd is.
Right.
And you were saying Steve Coogan looks familiar.
Yes.
So I wrote a couple of things down that you probably knew him from. You've seen Night at the Museum?
Yes.
He is the tiny person with Owen Wilson. He's the
Was he a
Roman
cowboy?
emperor. No,
Oh.
Owen Wilson was the cowboy. He was the Roman emperor.
I did see that he was in that, but I don't remember that movie well enough
Yeah.
to know that he was in it.
Tropic Thunder? He's the director of the film.
Okay.
Have you seen Philomena? Oh, you have to see Philomena. It's so good. He actually got an Oscar nomination for that because he wrote the screenplay and he starred in it.
He did not get an Oscar
Judi
nomination
Dench.
for Ideal Home.
He did not. Judi Dench is in it. Fantastic. So much better than this movie. Right off the bat, I did not care for this movie at all. Boring, terrible,
I didn't either.
awful.
I don't know that I would describe. It wasn't awful to me. Like a movie that's awful was Sorry, Kristen Stewart, but the movie where she ran in the clouds with the wrestler or the boxer.
Love bleeding.
Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah.
That was awful.
You know what? You want to hear something funny?
She doesn't know why it wasn't a hit.
Scrolling through TikTok, I somehow landed on Love is Bleeding talk. And the amount of people who are loving on, I guess it just appeared on one of the streaming services, so people are starting to watch it. The amount of love this movie is getting about how crazy and awesome it is. I was like, they didn't watch the same movie that me and Rick watched.
Well, or maybe we're not their target audience. People with taste.
Now, I will say, I did like Love Lies Bleeding better than this.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
I despised
This movie was not that bad.
Terrible. I did not care for this movie.
It's
seems
not the
so-
lowest rated thing that we've seen, and so there are other things that we've seen that
there's
have lower
low-rated
rating.
things that I'm like, oh, well, that was pretty good. I don't know how that got a low rating.
This got rated exactly where I think it should be, but it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm using this word right, but it's reductive. Is that the word I'm thinking of? Where it's like it's been done before and it's been done better.
Yeah.
It just none of the jokes Not redundant. Look up reductive. I think reductive is Madonna used it about.
Is that where it
Gaga.
where it diminishes it takes gay rights a step back?
No, I don't know. Landing at present. Anyway, I don't know. I didn't care for the movie.
Words are hard after a couple of glasses of wine.
I feel like I've seen it before. I've seen it better, and I didn't think any of the jokes landed. It's very poorly written to me.
I thought I like Paul Rudd in it. I thought his jokes did. But, it's weird because it's the show about two people who clearly hate each other. Mm-hmm. Like, they hate each other. Or their shtick is to not tell the other that they love each other. And it's weird. And they treat each other terribly. And, I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the quick synopsis of it.
It starts off the very beginning.
Yeah.
He says, "You fuck everything up." That's what he says to the person. That's the opening of the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you go. Do your thing.
I forget where I was.
You were about to talk about what the show was about, I think.
Yeah.
And then
so
I interrupted.
Steve Coogan plays a TV chef. His name is Aramis, which is a ridiculous name. I'm sorry if your name is Aramis.
I immediately hate this movie.
That is a ridiculous name.
Now the whole beginning part of it, where he's like on the horse and he looks like Butch Cassidy but without the butch. I thought that was funny because it was true.
Yeah. So he plays a TV chef. Paul Rudd plays Paul. He's the director. He directs all his TV shows, and they live in New Mexico. Apparently, Steve Coogan's character, even though he's super gay, went through a straight phase, had sex with a woman, bore a son. That son bore a son himself, and when his son ends up in prison, the grandson comes to stay with them. Hijinks ensue.
Maybe that's my note. That's what it was all about. Okay. In the beginning, when I said it's a nice way to start a movie, is that there's just this guy in his whitey tighties halfway out a window with his ass in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then his son, the little son, looks at the dad and says, "You fuck everything up." And I was like, oh, that's a great way to start.
And he chucks like rocks at him or something.
Yeah. See? That's some funny shit. But he gives the kid a note.
Yes, he gives him a book. Yeah.
And in the book it says, go find this guy. It's your grandfather. He'll take care of you. And take him this enormously, humongously large bag of cocaine with you. Right? Isn't there a bag of cocaine in this bag of stuff that he takes? Because they take it to the party, and then Paul Rudd's like, oh, let's all do it.
Oh, did they pull it out? I thought Paul Rudd pulled it out of his pocket.
No, I think it came out of that bag.
Oh, all right. I didn't notice that part.
I mean, that does change the whole dynamic of the movie. Right? If it was Paul Rudd's or if it was his kids.
But yeah, so they're a pretentious gay couple who hate each other. They're having a dinner party. The movie is just full of stereotypes to me.
You know what's so odd to me about it too, about this dinner party, is at this dinner party, one of the actresses in it is Kate Walsh.
Yes.
Who's in the movie for like
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Why? So this is what I wrote down about it. Like, usually if I don't like a movie, I question why all these people that I like are in it. And I'm just wondering if it's one of those studio things where it's like, hey, you sign a contract, you're going to do this movie, but we're going to pay you X amount. But then if I tell you I have a movie I want you to be in that you don't want to be in, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I'm going to, my third cousin gave me a script, and as a favor to him, I'm going to produce this movie, and I'm going to put these famous people in it, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
It's just a running theory. I don't know, because I haven't made
Or
it.
Maybe they're friends with the director. It's because it's written and directed by Andrew Fleming. Maybe they're friends.
He looks familiar. Like, he's been in stuff. He's an actor. But I can't tell, like, because it says that he's involved in 911 Lone Star, and I don't know if it's because he was an actor in it or if because he directed it, but because he directs, produces, and acts. But he looked very familiar to me.
I pulled up his Wikipedia, and he doesn't have a photo, so I don't know. I don't know who he is. I don't know who that is. Caitlin pulled his photo up, but
That is not the picture that came up as the director when I looked at it. It's not Jess something?
Andrew Fleming?
All right, well, never mind. Take back Eric. We'll cut the last 15 seconds out.
One thing that really I found obnoxious, and I hate when movies overuse this, but it's loaded with montages. Like 50% of the movie is a montage. So they're like, have a little scene. They tell each other how much they hate each other. The kid yells at them and calls them queers or fags. And then it goes to a montage. Then it comes to them. He wants Taco Bell. They yell at each other. Then it goes to another montage. Then it cuts to them. They tell each other how much they hate him. The kid mentions, yet again, I love Taco Bell. I'm starting to wonder who sponsored this movie.
Taco Bell.
And then another. See, it works. Taco Bell, Taco Bell, Taco Bell. And they're like,
oh my God. What if you did that? Like, said it 3 times and like a Mexican pizza in front of my face.
You know, I did recently hear that they, what are the Crunch Wrap? They have it with the giant cheese in it now. You're going to have to try that. Instead of the crunchy shell, it's a giant 10 times the size of a normal Cheez-It.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to.
The best thing to come out of
save up some points.
The best thing to come out of this movie is that you got to learn about the giant Cheez-It inside the Crunch Wrap.
You know, that is not untrue.
So,
and also I had that girl, the social
Allison
worker.
Pill, yeah, she's from the
newsroom.
The newsroom.
Yeah, great actress. Why is she in this movie? Why is Paul Rudd in this movie?
So the dad gets out of prison. He comes back. He wants the kid, but by the time he comes back, they have learned to love each other and they want to keep the kid. And then he's like, "No, that's my kid." And they're like, "We're not going to give you two old gay people the kid. It's his kid." So they give him back the kid. And then,
and spoiler alert,
Paul Rudd and Steve Coogan, they can't survive without the kid. So Paul Rudd's like, I'm taking a job at Rachel Ray because he got offered a job to work on Rachel Ray's
You think
TV
that's like
show.
a slap in the face? Like to him because he's a cooking show guy and it's
Absolutely.
like, I'm leaving you for Rachel Ray.
So Steve Coogan
I'm going to Flavor
changes himself and Paul Rudd comes back and then the kid's dad gets arrested because he was drinking and driving, and then they give the kid back. They adopt him. They become a family, and they all go to Taco Bell. No! The kid developed a more mature palate, and he says, I would like pork tenderloin, father.
And I'm telling you, this is like
Roll
this
credits.
is the sign of a good movie. You need a protagonist that grows. and the kid went from Taco Bell to pork tenderloin, it is classic.
If you consider that growth, I'd rather have the Taco Bell.
Do you know that? So there's this scene when they're asking like this kid like where his mom is. I know this is terrible of me, but I laughed so hard when he described what happened to his mom. I thought he was joking.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was because he was just this little shit kid. I thought he was just making up a story, but apparently it was true and nobody laughed. And so I was like, ooh, I better. She didn't make it.
no. Anyway, I didn't care for this movie.
Ooh, do you know what? Their houseboy was cute though.
Oh yes, their houseboy was cute.
Evan Bittencourt,
who Eremos was in the bedroom with the door closed, and Paul's like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "Nothing." He's like, "Why is the door closed?" "Don't worry about it." And that's when he leaves.
maybe the door was closed because they don't want to have the door open while he cries on this guy's shoulder. Why is everybody going to be so jealous?
Maybe go cry on your husband's shoulder and not your pool boy.
Have you heard the way his husband talks about him?
I don't know why they were together.
I don't know why they were together. They're having a conversation with a complete stranger, and he's like, maybe I should get therapy because I live with this crazy person who hates me. Well, maybe you should get a divorce.
Yeah. So I will say this. The best thing to come out of this movie, Rick learned about the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap. Also, if you need to see Steve Coogan or Paul Rudd in a queer film, here's some better options. See Philomena, which has a queer storyline with Steve Coogan, and see Object of My Affection with Jennifer Aniston and Paul Rudd. Love that movie. So much better than this.
I don't agree. I don't know. It's not that. Listen, there was a string of movies that came out with gay men and their best straight friends, and it was all about them having sex. And I'm like, I just like that whole idea. You know, like look, I love Jen. I'm never having sex with Jen. I am 100%, well, 98% gay man. And it's just not gonna happen.
Everybody's story is different. I've known gay men who tried it with women because they wanted to be different. Well, they didn't want to be. That was the problem. They didn't want to be different, and it didn't work out. And it didn't work out.
But is this after they came out and have been gay for a while? I mean, this like Object of My Affection is this established gay man and his friend who are just like, hey, let's do it. And I'm like, it also makes me. It's like one thing that I didn't like. I mean, Alyssa Milano. That she accounts for the 2%. I was in love with her when I was a kid, but like it is the same problem I have with
mine's Michelle Pfeiffer,
Queer as Folk. When when Brian has sex with his lesbian friend, I'm just like, why?
Everybody's on a different journey, Rick.
I guess so. You know what? Good for you. Good for you.
Also,
if that's your
they don't.
story.
They're friends, and they're not like, "Hey, let's do it." She's pregnant. The man doesn't want anything to do with her or the baby. So Paul Rudd steps up, and he goes, "I'll help raise the baby with you." And then sparks fly. They're at a Lamaze class. They take a dance class. One thing leads to another. Bada bing, bada boom, and you're up in there. You know what I'm saying?
While she's pregnant,
you're allowed to have sex when you're pregnant.
I clearly know nothing about these parts.
In fact, from my knowledge of watching Friends, it's encouraged if the baby won't come.
I don't like the way that was worded. Rotten Tomatoes, what do you got?
I don't know. Based on my opinion, this is like a 19. But I'm sure there are some critics out there who thought this was moving.
I'm going to tell you this was appropriately rated, to give you a hint.
52 critics, 60 audiences.
68 critics, 66 audience.
All right.
So that's appropriately rated.
Not quite rotted, but not Vine ready. All right.
All right. So our other assignment,
the Tonys,
which I love the Tonys. I love the Tonys so much because it gives audiences, people outside of New York City, the opportunity to catch glimpses of what shows are like because they do these performances of them. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Most of it. No, I will say it's always the highlight of watching it. It's why I watch it, really, for the most part.
Yeah. So it was hosted for the third time in a row by Ariana DeBose, who choreographed and wrote the opening number. What were your thoughts on that?
Can I say this beforehand? Because there was an announcement made, or at some point she was talking about her story. So one of the things that happened all throughout the show is when people would come up as a presenter, they would talk about their first performance.
Yeah.
And apparently she was nominated for a Tony in her first performance in the Donna Summers musical. Now, did you see that when it came through?
No.
I don't know how anything was Tony Award nominating in that show. It must have been a COVID year, so I found it shocking. It is I don't know how to describe how much I did not enjoy that show because it was very oddly done, very odd. But they do sing MacArthur Park, which I think is one of the greatest songs ever made. And people think it's weird because you sing about leaving a cake in the rain. I don't care. I loved it.
Interesting.
Do you not know that? Carrie Underwood sang MacArthur Park, because that's the name of it, and American Idol in the season she won. And when it was over, I think Simon or somebody said they didn't like the song. And she goes, I don't even know what it means. Like, it's about cakes in the rain? No, it's not. And it's a beautiful song.
Oh, Carrie.
Carrie.
Anyway.
I'll give her a Rotten Tomato rating. She's actually fabulous,
best
and I love
featured
her.
Actress. She was nominated Best Featured Actress in a Musical for
and she
Summer,
sang
the Donna
that
Summer
song
musical.
so well. So good. All right, so okay, so I will tell you this. I do like Ariana DeBose. I do like her. I think it would
Is it because she has a French New Orleans style name? Is that why you don't like her?
No, I like her.
Is it too jazzy for
No,
you?
I like her a lot. She's super talented and fantastic. And can we get a different host next year? Like, I mean, she's great, but like, can we have some variety? Because it's like, I mean, it's not like she's like Billy Crystal good. Just kidding. Could you expect anything whiter to come out of the mouth of a 49-year-old gay white man than Billy Crystal can host every year? He was great. No, she's so talented. Right? She's great at everything she does. It's just, and I loved her last year, but for some reason, like that opening number, I did not care about the opening number.
Yeah. That was kind of the consensus on Twitter, X, my ex Twitter. Nobody seemed to like the opening. Now I have a confession to make. I was going to come in this morning and watch it before the podcast because, kind of to tie into what we talked about earlier, I had a little bit of a tummy issue, and I missed the first 10 minutes of the Tonys because I was busy dropping my own Tonys off.
Well, you didn't miss much.
But I was going to come in and watch it, and then I got busy today, and then I was like, oh, crap, I didn't watch it. But X agrees with you. It didn't land for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I like my, I don't know, I like my opening numbers to be about the nominees. You know, and I think that's why I love Billy Crystal so much, because he'd always do like a song that would incorporate everything. And
listen,
and
I'm
Neil
only
Patrick
a couple of
Harris.
years younger than you. I am on the Billy Crystal train. That man can host anything,
right?
Yeah,
I would like to see like a throwback. Could we have a throwback year where like he comes back and hosts something?
If he's able.
And I want him to
I
use
love
the
the death, but that
same-
man's in his 80s or 90s
And
now.
use the same lame jokes. Oh, that's true, because I was like, well, he was just in Modern Family. But that was a long
was like
time
10 years ago.
I was like,
That
he's
was
in that,
way back in his 70s.
he's in that episode of Friends.
That was way back in his 60s. But yeah, and one of the things, and I agree with you, where I feel like the attention should always be on the nominees in the show. So like the first performance, I know you enjoyed it. We talked about this earlier. But they did a rendition from Hell's Kitchen.
Well, yeah, because what they do, and they do the musical numbers for
Yeah.
every musical that's nominated for a Tony. They do a big musical production.
And some plays.
But I do want to say this about the opening song before
Sure.
you get into this. It seems like, and I'm a fan of the Tonys. I'm a fan of Broadway. There's no way around it. But I also acknowledge that the general public is at a loss for it. And you can tell because there's no big red carpet for the Tonys that they air on TV. No one seems to care about that. I looked everywhere for it, couldn't find anything. And so it almost looks like, to me, that opening number was like the Tonys being super thirsty for mass appeal. Like
Yeah.
they're like, we want people to understand, like, we love our craft. So it was a song about loving the craft of being in theater and seeing theater and that kind of thing, when really you could just bring out the stars or
Yeah.
just sing the songs about.
Here's a good comparison. So you've got the EGOT, you've got the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, the Tony. Imagine them as the Beatles. The Tonys are the Ringo Starr. Like, nobody's coming to the EGOT,
which
for
means
the
they're
Tony.
still alive. Oh, no. Is he? Is Ringo Starr?
Ringo Starr is, yeah.
But so is McCartney.
But so is Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney and John Lennon, that's the Oscar and the Emmy. The Grammy is the George Harrison. And then the Tony is the Ringo Starr.
I
And
hate you, but I can't disagree with
Yeah.
that.
It's just, there's no disrespect. You're still a Beatle.
Yeah, you're still
You're
a Beatle.
still a Beatle. You're just the
and you
drummer.
might even be some people's favorite Beatle.
Are they?
They're mine.
All right.
Do you know who to me? Like, I could deal without.
Huge fan of Yellow Submarine, are you?
I don't need George Harrison in my life at all.
I love George Harrison.
No.
How else do
Grammy,
you...
schmammy. I don't need it.
I love it.
Grammy, schmammy. I don't need it. There's a friend of mine in New York who always, anything, you talk about something, you're like, oh, I want a ham sandwich. Ham schmam. Nobody needs it.
The Grammys are the only one that I watch and don't care at all about who wins the awards. I watch it just for the performances.
And see, I don't listen to modern music, so I don't care about the Grammys. In
Valid.
fact,
That's I was just gonna. I was thinking back to this past Grammy. It's like, yeah, no, there was no. Oh, Tracy Chapman was there. Check.
I have never been on board with that song.
I love Tracy Chapman.
I don't think her car's that fast.
You don't know what kind of car
She
had.
looks like somebody who probably drives the speed limit. She doesn't need a fast car.
Give me one reason.
I can give you two to turn it off.
Fantastic. I love her. I love her to death.
No, she's super. I mean, it's all about taste. I'm not trying to say people aren't talented. I'm just saying I don't care for it.
Tina Turner wasn't there, but she did embody herself in the body of Miley Cyrus. So she was Tina Turnering it up.
No, she did not. She did not in the body of. It was in the hair of.
That being said, Miley Cyrus is on. Do you watch that show on Netflix with David Letterman?
I watched the one with. I watched somebody on it recently. Because I got caught into a thing.
John Mulaney. John Mulaney.
That was really
just
good.
Released. He just released one with Miley Cyrus this past week.
I like
good.
that show.
I love her.
You know what? I'm a David Letterman fan.
Yeah.
I have been, and I like this like sort of chilled,
This
like
long Santa beard retrospective.
yeah, because he looks at his life and sees the flaws in it.
Yeah.
I think, and that comes across in what he does, and I have so much appreciation for that, and I think they're really interesting and good.
Yeah, you should watch it. Miley Cyrus, she does a lot of some acoustic stuff in there that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I have always been a fan of Miley Cyrus. I
Yeah.
really have. I will say, except outside of that performance.
Even that performance, I love how unhinged it is. Anyway,
we digress. So
back to the Ringo
Tony.
Starr.
So yeah, so the show, like the very first, did we? I put everything in order. So
Yeah, I
the
have my
first
notes
thing
are in
they
order.
did, they had the opening song, and then so we'll get to this in a second. But they did lead actor in a play before we get to Hell's Kitchen. They did lead actor in a play, and which I was surprised to see the guy from The Good Place was nominated for something. I wish that I lived in New York. I would see all of these shows.
The guy from William Jackson Harper. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was there. Leslie Odom Jr. was nominated, who won the Tony for Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Liev Schreiber and Jeremy Strong.
I would love to see Liev Schreiber
Right.
in Doubt.
Yeah, he played a murderer in a movie early in his career, and I cannot.
It was
it Scream?
It was X-Men Wolverine. He was Sabretooth.
Nah,
and he
was
murdered
like-
a lot of
was
people.
Was he a murderer in
He
one
was.
of the
He was-
Screams?
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I don't want to give it away. He didn't do it.
Oh right,
But he was framed.
It was the hot
Yeah.
guy.
But yeah, he's Cotton.
What's the hot guy's name?
Oh,
I loved him. He was in that Jared.
Matthew Lillard.
No.
No,
I thought you knew me.
No, I know.
What is
no,
it?
It's Caitlin, you're here to Google.
Go Caitlin.com.
Who were the two the bad guys?
Oh, Skeet Ulrich.
Skeet
Ulrich. It's
Skeet Ulrich. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can stop.
He's in the TV show Jericho. I love him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I'm more a Matthew Lillard guy. I'm not gonna lie. I love Matthew Lillard.
well, he's goofy.
If he came out as gay, no, he wasn't. He was Shaggy. If he came out as gay, I would stalk that man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not stalking.
I don't know.
But he's hot. I
He
love
was
him.
in a he had a reoccurring character in The Good Wife, and it was not. I mean, I was like, because he played like an internet mogul. And then Jeremy Strong won.
Yeah.
For I forget what show.
An enemy of the people.
An enemy of the people. And I was so excited about that because I just started watching him on Succession, and I'm like, good for you.
As you're watching that show, I want you to do a little research about what Brian Cox thought about, because Jeremy Strong is apparently a method actor, and Brian Strong hates method actors.
Brian Cox.
What'd I say?
Strong.
Oh. Brian Cox hates method acters. And you should
Well,
watch
that
some of the-
probably helped them hate each other in the show.
Yeah, you should watch some of the interviews where he talks about it. It's hilarious.
Oh.
But yeah, Jeremy Strong's a good actor.
So they gave out that award,
Yep.
and then they started with the first musical production, or the first musical.
And that was Hell's
Hell's
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
That's the Alicia Keys musical.
Right.
That turned into an Alicia Keys concert. Jay-Z came out and they started singing. And I get it. Right off the bat, I'm not a huge fan of jukebox musicals. They're not my thing. I feel like they're a lazy way to get a Broadway musical made.
90% of them are not good.
And a lot of the times, I love Alicia Keys' music, but I like Alicia Keys singing her music. Listening to other people sing it as part of a show, I felt the same way about Jagged Little Pill. Love Alanis Morissette, didn't care listening to people sing her songs as part of a musical.
I get it.
But it turned into an Alicia Keys concert, and I was like, the focus should be on the show.
I 100% agree with that. In fact, when they showed her, I thought, well, this is dumb. She's not going to just walk out on stage in the middle of the thing and do it. It should have been but then the other girl came out and started singing too, which was fine by me. And then it progressed into, because they're singing New York.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, they start singing New York, and then they got Jay-Z there, which almost looked like they were on the staircase outside of 30 Rock where the ice skating rink is, but it wasn't. It was like
And I don't even know my my fashion labels, but I think they both were in Gucci or something, and they're just up there and just watching rich people sing and dance at the Tonys in their Gucci. It's like let the actors perform their show.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that this was like the Tonys saying, and Ariana DeBose was a producer of it, and it was them saying, we're going to up these productions a notch. But it's the only one that they did that.
You know what I think it was? I think it was Ringo Starr calling George Harrison and saying, we need some help. Can you come help us? That was my Ringo Starr.
I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, I would give that a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes.
So they came out, and again, love Alicia Keys. I actually would love to see Hell's Kitchen. I just wish the focus was on the actual show as opposed to the big celebrities there. And they do that every once in a while. Back when the Carole King musical came out,
right?
She came out, and they're like, "Oh, it's Carole King."
But I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. As far as you can hate jukebox musicals, but Beautiful is beautiful, and it is one of the top.
I have not seen it, and I have no
best.
doubt that I would enjoy it. I'm sure, though, at the end of the day, I will still enjoy Carole King singing those songs more than the show. Because I love Tapestry, one of the best albums ever made.
So the Beautiful is about Carole King.
I get it.
But so like this Alicia Keys one is it's loosely based on it.
It's based on her, but not on her
but
kind
it's
of
not.
thing. Yeah.
But this is Carole King's life. So to me, I'm able to watch that show and see the character, and Jesse Mueller, who is not a household name, is one of the most incredible Broadway singers to me in the history of Broadway, and I love everything she does. I could watch her all day. So I could watch that and say this is Carole King singing this song, and it ties the songs into what's happening in her life. I think it's beautiful.
I get you.
Because it's called Beautiful, but it's good.
The only other thing I will say about this performance, and it's not just this performance, it's award shows that have musical performances in general. If you don't have rhythm, white people, do not stand up and dance. You look stupid. You're embarrassing yourselves. But like these white producers and they're standing up and they're like, yeah, Alicia Keys, and they're clapping along. You look ridiculous. You look like the mom and dad standing up, dancing at the Jay-Z concert. Sit down, listen to the music. Let people with rhythm dance.
Look, I'm not gonna say that I disagree at all. I'm just gonna say that they should never have been put in that position in the first place.
That's true.
And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna say this, and I know you're listening, Alicia, and I love you. She's one of my favorite singers. I think she's gold. But please do not normalize this. In Broadway, do not normalize the entire crowd standing up to dance. It is so obnoxious. You're there to see a show. Put on a show. Sit down and watch the show. Don't talk on your phone. Don't text. Don't shout back at the stage. And don't get up and dance because you're like, oh, I know this song. Like, that makes me crazy. I was like, this is the problem. This is why audiences suck at Broadway shows.
I don't mind the dancing as long as you've got rhythm.
If it's the end of the show and you've already done the curtain call and you decide to go back like jukebox musicals do and do an entire concert, more power to you. I'll be on my way to the car. Enjoy your dancing. You know what I told Jen? I was like, it's not bad enough I got to bag my own groceries and then show my receipt to the guy as I leave. Now I got to entertain myself by getting up and dancing at a Broadway show?
I hear you.
And then I laughed because I was like, she's like, you are the grumpy old man. And I'm like, yay, I finally hit it.
Now, I didn't write down in order the awards, so if you want to go through those. My next note is just Jesse Tyler Ferguson humble brag.
I want to point this out, though. As soon as the dancing was over and everybody was going to sit back in their seats, they panned to Billy Porter.
Oh, my God, I did write that down.
Was he doing a
smelled his
smell check? Oh, he was doing a smell check. He's like, oh, I danced.
He sniffed his pit.
Yeah, okay. I was like, did he just do a sniff check? Good for him.
I believe he was wearing a sleeveless top, so you just want to make sure that, the odor was okay.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And then, and that's another thing, too, that I don't know if this is the producers, but seriously, because it was like, oh, they're up there. A black person's on stage. Let's find all the black people in the audience and do a close-up of them. I mean, it's so pandering to me.
Look how diverse we are.
Right. Yeah, they're like, recycle the four that you've got in the front.
When Jonathan Groff was up talking, cut to all the queers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So, but the next thing that I made a note of was the commercial break right after this. And it was so exciting. And I'm so excited about this. And yes, it's Paramount Plus, and I'm going to love it. But Kathy Bates is Matlock. There was a trailer for it, and it's going to be great.
I will watch it. I love Kathy Bates. I'll watch anything she does. I turned to Twitter during the commercial break, so I didn't notice any of the commercials. But I will Google the Kathy Bates Matlock because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then because there was another commercial I'll talk about, but it's an unpopular opinion, I'm sure, and maybe it's just because Idina did it originally, but they did a commercial for Wicked, which is going to be great, and I'm going to love it, but it's just like
I think it's going to be popular. Jesus Christ.
You're fired. But it's like they lowered the octaves on the songs because maybe she can't hit the notes that Idina could.
I don't know. I can hear, like, I saw the trailer and I can hear she does like a riff with it. But I haven't heard the full song, so I'm gonna reserve judgment.
That's true. I will wait until like because some people don't do this. I'll wait till I see it. So then it was featured actor in a play.
Yes.
And was that
feature? That was Stereophonic.
No, is that the one that
Jesse Tyler Ferguson? Yeah.
Did you want to talk about his humble brag?
No, he was just like, when I won the Tony. I love when they bring, and this is all award shows again, when they come out and they're like, when I won this award 5 years ago. Oh, thank you.
I thought he was funny.
I thought he was
just like, he's like, hey, it's great to be nominated. And he goes, there's nothing better than being nominated. And then he goes, well, there's one thing better than being nominated. I thought it was cute. But this went to Will Brill, who is in, so this is feature actor in a play, went to Will Brill from Stereophonic.
Yes.
You let me know when I can start screaming.
I don't know anything about this show. However, I do know it is about a musical group making an album in the studio.
Correct.
The most nominated play at the Tony Awards. You may address that.
Right. And so this play was nominated for Best Original Score. Mm-hmm. Now, how, I ask you, do you have Best Original Score in a play?
Do plays not have music?
No, plays like no. Like what song played in To Kill a Mockingbird? What
Well, no,
song
I mean,
did they
like,
sing in To Kill a
A
Mockingbird?
score is like not
Right.
songs, but I mean, or do they not? I don't see enough plays. I'll be honest. I don't see enough plays to know, do they have soundtracks?
Well, like Take Me Out didn't have a soundtrack, right?
I don't remember.
Unless you take
Let's
me out
just
to the
say
ball game.
I wasn't
That-
paying
is that-
attention to the
Oh,
music.
I hear you. No, it's weird to me because then the stage for Stereophonic is like it's cool. It's a cool set. It's like a recording studio, and then like the where you record the music, and then it's the control room, and then in front of it is another area where they come out and do things. So they're doing all this stuff, but they're singing songs. How is this not a musical? They're singing original songs in this show, but they're
Yeah.
listing it as a play. And all I can think, and I know if you listen to the show, you know I'm about to bring up the bear.
Yeah,
You know, it's the
bear of Broadway.
the Tony's bear.
it's a Broadway bear.
Yeah, Broadway bears.
Yeah,
I just don't get it, and it's. I don't care if it's a good show. It's a good show. It should win in the musical category because it's a musical, right? Now, somebody smarter than me who is like Broadway is my life, you shoot me an email, wwn@watermarkonline.com, and explain to me how this is not a musical. And then you even said that you read something where somebody's like, this is the only show in the history of...
it was a tweet that said, Stereophonic is going to win Best Play, and 10 years from now, at its revival, it will win Best Musical.
Right. It's probably a really good show, and it's got great actors, just like The Bear. Just put it in the category it belongs, because, you know, that Mother's Story looks like a really good show, and maybe they deserve to win Best Play because it's a play. Anyway. So, Stereophonic won from...
Spoiler alert, Stereophonic won for Best Play.
Yeah, it won almost everything. I mean, it won a lot.
Yeah, it won. Let me go to the listings here. It won 5. It won more than any play and/or musical of the night. Merrily We Roll Along and The Outsiders came close with 4 each.
So I have up here that the next musical that did a number was The Who's Tommy.
Can I just say that, again, this is one thing where I have heard songs from Tommy sung by The Who, and they're fun. They're fine. I enjoy The Who. They're not like my favorite band, but I enjoy a good Who song. But if you
From Whoville.
if you're not from the Whoville, I don't want to hear you sing it. And it looked cheesy and stupid. And as far, I don't know the whole story of Tommy, but it has something to do with pinball. I don't care.
I
didn't look good.
I didn't find that that was a great performance. It was not.
No.
And if I won't say that they weren't good because maybe they just had an off night. But this was the moment to be incredible. And I thought that the lead dude's voice was weird, and I didn't
Awful.
enjoy it.
Awful.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. So then after that, we don't have to dwell on the bad. After that was featured actress in a play, and that went to Cara Young, right?
Yes, for Pearly Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch.
Is that the lady with the blonde hair?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The young lady with the
Young
blonde hair.
black
That-
lady with the blonde hair, yeah.
That went on. That speech went on for a while.
Yeah. She got up there and she got her Tony, and then her and the gentleman who was maybe they know each other, was presenting the award. They like touched foreheads and sat there for a second, which was weird to me, but I guess they know each other. And then yes, her speech was very long.
That's how Broadway people shake hands.
Oh, okay. I did notice that a lot this year, except for the very first one. The first Jeremy Strong won, and they started to play him off.
Right.
After that, they didn't play a single person off. They let them go on as long as they wanted.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe Jeremy Strong got back there and threatened them. They're like, "Don't you dare play anybody off."
There's and
they're like, "Okay, Jeremy
I
Strong."
think you know what I liked about it this year, because I think last year, like they told, or somewhere, was it the Oscars or something, where they told people not to thank their publicist, and so like this group of people decided to thank weird people, which I thought was hilarious and great.
Will Brill thanked his therapist.
Yeah,
which was nice.
Yeah, it was really funny. They're good, but their speeches are always this. I have always dreamed of being on stage, and I saw a show, and I thought one day I want to be up there, so never give up on your dreams. You can do this. Like, they're all of them are the same. And some told really well, some not told so well.
And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I cannot stand when people bring notes with them. Like when you read from a piece of paper, your acceptance speech takes all the emotion out of it for me.
You know what?
I
would
want it
rather-
to come from your heart.
I
I
want
want
it-
it to just ramble off, and I want to see you look at the. I love you, and no, when you're reading from a paper, it's like, when I was a young boy, I was in a play, and it's like, no, I don't want you to read
Yeah.
shit.
I'm okay with you reading it, but I need it to look like it wasn't written on a receipt. That it wasn't like I just thought of this like, oh, I pulled a napkin out and wrote. No, you need to pull out a piece of paper. You need to unfold it, get that 8.5 by 11 going. I want it typed, one space after each period.
No, I don't want nothing
wanna
in your
see that
hand
you put
except that
thought.
award.
I'm all right with it. It's hard to remember because, like it's a very exciting moment.
It
And
is.
and it's going to
It
go
is.
by in a second or 8 minutes for some people. And you will forget to
I want you to forget.
Now-
I want you to ramble off the top of your head.
just because you notice sometimes things that I notice and I think they're funny and weird. When Kara was giving her speech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, she's giving her speech. They kept putting the camera on Leslie Odom Jr.
Yes.
because he was in it with her.
Yeah.
Did you notice the lady behind him?
No, what was she
Her
doing?
she was just listening, but she was like
Oh,
like
making a
it was
face?
just a weird face. But she was just old lady listening.
I did notice, and it turns out, because I didn't know who she was, they kept cutting to this lady, white lady, who had long curly hair and didn't look happy to be there at all. Several times she was on her phone. I know this is terrible to say. She didn't smile at all.
The chick didn't smile.
But it turns out that I think she's with Merrily We Roll
didn't
Along. She's
land.
the producer of Merrily We Roll Along. And she gets up there
with the flower.
and she's like, just has the same sourpuss. And she's like, this was a fantastic time that I had. This is my sister. She brought the musical to me. It's like, you just want a Tony smile.
Yeah. I mean,
Damn.
you don't know how people react. I'm sure she was gleeful and dancing.
I
inside.
bet she was.
She had. You know what she did? She used all of her energy dancing for Alicia Keys.
That's what she did.
So after this, speaking of Merrily We Roll Along, they did the Merrily We Roll Along number, which
Yes.
was genius. I love it. I'm so sad that I didn't see this show when all three of them were in it because I
Yeah.
thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved this performance. I don't know anything about the musical. I loved it.
You know
thought
what I
they did
learned about it,
fantastic.
which made me even more mad that I didn't see it? So the musical
That
is
it's
a
Stephen Sondheim.
well, you know what? I'm not a
I know you
Sondheim
are.
fan.
I know you're not.
But I want to see this show. Is what happens is at the beginning of the show, it's like three friends that have been friends forever that there's some rift and there's some fighting. And what happens in the show as the show progresses, it actually moves back in time. So the end of the show is the three of them deciding to move to New York together, and they're so excited about it. But but then you get to see like, oh, I know where this is going to end up.
Yeah.
And I think that's
They
a great
Quentin
idea.
Tarantino it.
I think it's great.
They Quentin Tarantino before Quentin Tarantino.
And I gotta say, I love Jonathan Groff. I just love him.
the way you feel about Jonathan Groff is how I feel about Daniel Radcliffe. I love
yeah?
that little Harry Potter so much.
Well, which would explain why you had an appreciation for his reaction to Jonathan Groff's
God, I
win, and
loved it.
I did not, because it was so intense. But they were both they're both intense. So,
I thought they were in the theater.
I mean, we're gonna skip around here for a second because they both won a Tony.
Yes.
And when Daniel Radcliffe won a Tony, this is for thank God he was in a musical, and the other singers from the other show they won for the play.
Yeah.
But he was giving the speech, which is great, and he was talking about how much he's gonna miss them because he's not in the show anymore.
The show ends in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I could still see it.
If you can get a ticket.
Oh my God. So, but Jonathan Groff, a mess.
Crying.
Crying.
Like that was his baby boy up there taking his Tony.
Like he was me watching Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
He was Dear Evan Hansen crying while Daniel Radcliffe was giving a speech, which was touching and fine. And then the girl was too. Did you know that she's like super pregnant?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like I find that fascinating. That may be why the show is closing, because they're maybe like she's getting close to being due, and so they're going to close. I don't know. But well, Jen told me that, so Jen could be a liar. Who knows? So then, flash forward, Jonathan Groff wins for featured actor in a musical, or is it a musical revival?
It was music. Yeah,
Okay.
there's not a separate category for acting
okay.
revival.
And when he won, like in the most intense, it was like the dichotomy of gay versus straight. So Jonathan Groff is crying and like, I just love you, Daniel. And then then Jonathan Groff wins, and Danny Rockoff is like, yes! Like veins are sticking out in his neck, and he's like, yes, clapping. And I was like, wow, that's intense.
Ran up, gave him a hug. I thought it was adorable.
It
I loved
is.
it.
You know what? I love Danny Radcliffe too. So, I was thinking about like there's so much I didn't like about the Tonys, and I was like, people are gonna think we just hate everything because we haven't watched anything that we've really loved in a long time.
I mentioned this earlier. The Tonys were going on while the season premiere of House of the Dragon was going on, and through the entire, or at least for that hour afterwards, as the Tonys were going on, I kept thinking, just can we hurry this up? I want to watch House of the Dragon. The only time I didn't think that is when Daniel Radcliffe and Jonathan Groff both won their Tonys.
Yeah. It is. I mean, they're actors, right? And I got to tell you, like, what I love about why I love the Tonys so much is that, there's a quote, right, or Ariana DeBose.
Ariana DeBose.
Yeah, she said, I don't want to get her name wrong. Said something in the beginning about like there's a lot of famous faces here and a lot of people that you know that have come to do Broadway, but it's where they come to get better at their craft. I honestly feel that like acting on a stage is a whole different level.
Yeah.
And that it's this intense bearing of one's soul and what it takes to do that. So when you see like the connection that they have is like where they really like each other and they really enjoy what they're doing, it just makes the show better to me. It's like Succession, how these guys are making fun of each other. Well, that's not happening in the case of Merrily We Roll Along, and I think it probably makes the show incredible. And so I that's what I love so much about theater. So watching them do that was good. I mean, I really felt like it made me just love it. That's all. I just want to see the show so bad because of that.
Yeah.
Best direction of a play. Best direction of a play. This is the one where they got up and talked about how all the women directors were.
That was an awkward moment because, they were presenting it and then they were like, a record number of women were nominated for directing at the Tonys. Everybody applauded and like, yay, women. And then they did Best Direction of a Play, which was 3 women, a black guy, and a white guy. And they gave it to the white guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
But
they did eventually. Then they gave it to a woman for Best Director of a Musical.
And that went to, I didn't write her last name.
Dana Tamor for The Outsiders.
And Dana Tamor is the niece of Julie Taymor, who directed The Lion King.
And The Lion King is a Disney movie from the 90s.
And we went and wrote Tiana. Full circle.
There we go.
Full circle. See how we put this together for you? This show was planned. But she won for Best Direction of a Musical for The Outsiders, which looks incredible and is another show that makes me wish I lived there so I could just go see it. But the next show that they did a performance of was Water for Elephants.
Yes. It's interesting because this was a movie back in 2011 with Robert Pattinson and Reese Witherspoon and Christoph Waltz. I didn't know it was based on a book when I saw the movie. And I didn't care for the movie. And I didn't know that they had made that movie into a Broadway musical until I turned the Tonys on last night. And I was like, what a boring movie to turn into a musical. But I thoroughly enjoyed the performance. I love the dancing on the pole. I love a show that you can go see live that someone might die. Because they were like doing these weird spins up on that pole. And I was like, one slip and you fall, you're going to crack your neck.
The pole people were the best part of that. I wrote down, I like the pole people. I don't need to see that show. That is not a show that makes me wish I lived there.
Yeah.
But the what the people did on the pole was pretty spectacular. But it's just like, I mean, it's a circus show.
Yeah, it's a guy who runs away to the circus, falls in love with this girl, but the villain loves the girl and doesn't like the guy.
So it's
Tale
like
as old as time.
Moulin Rouge meets The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is one thing that I would, I don't know if anybody here was a big fan of The Flash on the CW, but Grant Gustin he played The Flash. He's the lead in this, and I love him. So I would go see it just for him. He's fantastic.
Oh, you just said the guy that's the lead was The Flash.
Yeah.
Who was not the Arrow?
No, he wasn't the Arrow.
I thought
he was a part of the Arrowverse.
You know what else? You know what else? Who else he was? He was the Warbler in Glee that tried to seduce.
I think the directions we took that explains a lot about our personalities.
I do not think you're wrong. So then Daniel Radcliffe won his award.
I wrote Harry Potter won a Tony.
I did. So, yeah, Harry Potter. I bet he hates that shit.
Ah, no, he loves it.
Jonathan Groff is a crier. Featured actress in a musical went to Keisha Lewis for Hell's Kitchen, who plays the mom, theoretically Alicia Keys' mom. But that scene that they did in the beginning of the Tonys, she sounded amazing.
Yeah.
So I am sure
voice.
she earned that. It may be worth
She's the
seeing
one
show.
who had the little twinkle lights in her hair,
Yeah.
right?
I think so.
Loved it.
Yeah, she's
I
great.
loved her hair. They had little twinkle lights in it.
I
Dug
liked
it.
her speech too because she's like, look, she's been on Broadway for 40 years. You know, she's a woman of color who has been invisible to awards to things for 40 years. I mean, that's a long time, 40 years, and she is finally getting her recognition. And so that speech that she gave about the fight and the struggle and wanting to give up but being talked into staying with it, and how she took a break to raise her kid and all that, I thought that was fantastic. I'm a big fan of hers. Next up, Illinois, which is funny because you think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but no, it's Noise.
Yeah, it's Illinois. I don't know anything about this show. After watching the performance, I still don't know anything about this show, but it gave me Ain't Done Bad vibes, and dug the dancing and dug the boys kissing and hugging.
Yeah, it was not bad. I don't really know what happened. I'm assuming the blonde guy's dead. Just by the way that they were dancing and singing. I feel like there was a car accident and he died, and the guy maybe was with, I don't know. But it was a lot of contemporary dancing with a band playing in the background. And I did not hate that. I would see that show. Good for you, Illinois. Oh, and then we got to
hear a little snippet of Stereophonic, the non-musical musical play.
Which I think we have given too much attention to already. Congratulations on your awards.
I like this song.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
It's a good
look,
song.
it's probably a really good show.
We're about to get to the part of the show I hated the most.
The Suffs.
Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
Suffs wins. The girl wins for...
Oh, no, I wrote performances down only. Suff, I didn't know anything about Suff. And then when they were talking about it, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then we'll get to the performance. I didn't know she was a producer. Do you want to go ahead and say?
Well, all I was going to say is like she won... I forget. I didn't write down what the category was.
Suffs won Best Book of a Musical and Best Original Score. I'm not sure which one came up first, but
I
they
just
won
wrote
both
she's spunky, and then I nicknamed her Spunky Brewster
and
because
here,
she looks
it
like
doesn't
Spunky
matter.
Brewster.
It's the same person.
Yeah,
The same person won both of the
so good.
both of
So
those
good
awards.
for her. So that was that. Which looked like I would see that show. It looked good. To
Yeah.
me. Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club was next up. You know what's interesting is I could tell from your side that you didn't like it.
Hated it. What the hell is wrong with Eddie Redmayne?
He was, you know what it was? It was a stylistic choice, I think.
He reminded me of Michael J. Fox.
He
No
looked
disrespect.
like he was a creepy clown, and I think that's
He
what they
looked
were
ridiculous.
going for. And
Stupid. I love Cabaret. This made me not want to see Cabaret.
It's funny because Jen loves Cabaret, and was like, okay, I'd see it. It's just because the music is so good and the singing is so good. They take a turn with this, and it's stylistic, and some people aren't going to like it. But
you call it stylistic. I call it stupid.
Yeah,
Absolutely stupid.
I mean, it's the same word.
Made me hate, and I like Eddie Redmayne. Made me hate him.
You know what? Like,
It put, you know, when you watch an actor do something and it puts a little voice in your head, and for the next 10 years you're gonna hate everything he does. That's what this did for
yeah,
me.
you know, like I look at it like shoulder pads. You know, stylistic. Yes. Stupid. Yes.
You know what it was? Every time he was like, woo, with my fingers, and then he'd take his hat and be like, woohoo, woohoo. I was like, I want to slap you so hard in your stupid fucking face right now.
See, I thought not. I did not think that. I thought it was
Hated it.
I also I also thought like it just showed the depth of talent he has, because this is the guy from Fantastical Beast, and look at like how this thing is so different than all that other stuff. I found it was weird, and then I liked it, and I thought that it was like I don't know how to say this. It reminded me of a version, like a Broadway award-winning version of Varieties. And I thought that what they did was good. It was really great. I would have watched.
I thought it felt like walking out of one of those Fringe shows where you're like, I don't know how this got put on a stage.
This sounds like somebody who's never seen the Merkin Sisters. Because if you saw the Merkin Sisters, you would love this. Because everything is good. Okay, so there was that. Revival of a Play went to...
Merrily We Roll. Oh, Play. No, yeah.
Revival of
That
Play.
went to... where is it on this list? Oh, there it is. Appropriate.
Yeah, he seemed gay. Yes? He talked
Yeah.
about his partner?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I would see that.
Yeah, it's the one that Sarah Paulson's in it. I
Yeah.
would definitely see that. Yeah.
Then there was the tribute to Cheetah Rivera.
Yeah. Which
Which
was really good. I liked it.
Wow, how is this possible that you and I just disagree on everything?
What did you want? Her to bring her rise her from the grave?
No,
I
I
think
just-
they did fine.
No, I think that somebody could have, when you were going to announce that Brian Stokes Mitchell is paying tribute to somebody, I expect to hear him sing a song. And all they did was come out and talk while people danced around them. And I just thought it could have been better.
Oh, I thought it was fine.
I
I don't like to harp on the sad stuff. So it's like, get in, do your medic.
It's
get off
almost
stage.
like it's almost like you and I spend this show trying to troll each other. Because I'm like, how could you possibly hate
I thought it was
the Eddie
fun.
Redmayne thing that bad and
trash.
then love this? Okay. So then Stereophonic, we've talked about that. The Bear won a comedy. Yes.
Wait a minute. Stereophonic won Best Play. I do want to mention this. Did I not notice? And were they like on a platform? Or were the two producers of Stereophonic just very tiny people?
Yes.
Okay. Because
Oh, that guy was tiny.
everybody was
Willow
standing behind
tiny.
them, and it looked like they had stepped down to the microphone because they came up to like everyone's belly button.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was a step, but I think he's a
Everyone
short person.
towered over them.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't know.
But it
when I
didn't happen to
noticed
the
that, I
other
was like,
people. So
No, just those two.
and then the 45th president of the United States came out.
Hillary Clinton walks out in the most gorgeous muumuu I have ever seen in my life.
I love her.
I was like,
I love her.
what is she doing here? I got all excited. My brother, who's not a fan, I'm calling him out. He's like, what is she doing there? I was like, she can go wherever she wants to go because she wasn't indicted.
Yeah. Or convicted.
Yeah.
And you make a pantsuit look good.
I love her. She looked
Jeremy's
gorgeous.
brother.
She looks radiant. She just looked beautiful. And
She
she
looked
was a producer
happy.
on Stuff.
She looked happy.
It made me want to go see the show.
She looked
She
so
looked
happy,
so
as
happy.
if her arch nemesis just got convicted
So
of a
good.
crime. She looked so
She looked
happy.
so good.
Good for her.
Um,
I mean, I can't believe it. I just can't believe. Did she have like cheek implants? She got like cheeks on
no,
top of her cheeks.
she's just not bogged down by politics
just,
anymore.
you
She's just
know,
living life.
Good for her. And she contributed as a writer to this show.
To the show?
To Stuff.
I know
Didn't
she
they?
produced it. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
she did, but I know that she was a producer on it.
Well, and then speaking of celebrities that produce shit, then they
Oh.
did The Outsiders.
Yes, and Angelina Jolie was a producer on
Yes.
that. She also looked good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Angelina Jolie.
I know, but she's been out of the spotlight for a while. She's been doing humanitarian stuff, living in tents and things. But she's been keeping up on that beauty regimen because she looks flawless.
Why is she living so intense?
Anyway, she looked fantastic.
It's-
you just rehashed my joke.
I know, but in the opposite direction, which makes it comedy gold.
Mm.
This is going to be a soundbite. This is going to be a TikTok about how good this was.
We'll see.
Outsiders looks amazing.
Outside the beginning of it, I was kind of like, the music wasn't catching me. The dance fight
That was great.
sold me on it.
Yeah. It's like they took what Sondheim did in West Side Story and amped it up. Made it like that was the best dance fight. I've ever
it
seen.
was fantastic. They won, I think, best staging or something like that, and
Yeah.
it shows in that performance. It was fantastic. Loved it.
So then Merrily We Roll Along won for best
Revival.
Yes, amazing.
And
Jonathan
then I
Groff
wrote
cried
down
the whole
here,
time.
you just want a Tony smile, you sourpuss.
Well, she might have been like sad because her really good friend who wrote it is dead, and she wished that he was.
She
there.
didn't say she knew Stephen Sondheim.
She did.
The other girl
Oh.
said she knew Stephen Sondheim. The other girl was just texting away, and she's like, "Did you see that Alicia Keys performance?
She said it this way.
Didn't care for it."
Then Sarah Paulson gets up. Good for her. She wins lead actress in a play.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now I know what you're going to say about this. I know what you're going to say about it, and I'm already going to disagree with you. The Pussycat Doll killed that song. It was
Loved it.
radiant.
Thought it was great.
Amazing.
I have no problem with her.
What's her name?
Nicole Schroeder. She's on Broadway right now in
Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard. Yeah,
I want to see that.
she's rumored to be like the front runner for the Tony next year.
She is she's saying, what is she saying? Kiss the Day Goodbye from A Chorus Line.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. And it was the tree. I just thought you wouldn't like it because you don't like it when people sing live and tributes to.
I don't mind singing live. I don't like the added, like, don't turn into a whole thing.
Right.
Just sing.
No dancing.
Yeah, I don't need a dance number. I don't need a choir to come out.
It was beautiful. I
It's not a
never
church
thought she could
service.
sing this way. And I got to be honest with you. Anybody that's a judge on The Masked Singer automatically loses complete credit to me. So
Is she on The Masked Singer?
she's a judge on The Masked Singer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And with Jenny McCarthy and the guy that jumps out of the trunk in The Hangover.
Ken Jeong?
Yeah. So, and Alan Thicke's kid.
Robin Thicke.
Yeah. How old am I that I can't think of Robin Thicke, but I can think of Alan Thicke. I'm glad you didn't say Kirk Cameron. But it was just so beautiful. She's so talented. I did hear. I was like, wait, is she gonna be in Sunset Boulevard, or is that happening?
Yeah, she's currently in it.
Gotta
Yeah.
get up there and see that. I can't. I love that music. By the way, Sunset Boulevard is a good one. So that was really good. Then Best Actress in a Musical. Oh no, I think this is the one. No. Who was she? Where was she from? Oh, that's
Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, the girl from is it Malil Joy Moon?
Malie Joy Moon.
Malie Joy Moon. She won for Actress in a Musical. Probably deserves it, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw her perform before Alicia Keys took everyone's spotlight, I thought she did fantastic.
And then Jonathan Groff won.
Okay, I don't know if this was just me that it happened to.
No, it cut out to a commercial.
It went to a commercial in the middle of his speech.
We're like, what is this? What kind of gay bashing, gay
that-
hating?
As Caitlin would say, in June, that's a hate crime.
Yeah.
That is a hate crime in June. But I was watching, and he's like, I want to thank the new Chevy Eldorado. I was like, what the fuck?
I know. And then I
thought I rolled
this
over the
poor
remote
guy.
or something. I was like, what the hell? And then it cut back to him, and he's crying, and I was like, I would be like, give me
he
the
was
Tony
crying
again.
because they cut away.
He just really loved that Silverado.
I mean, it's just it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad because again, you go to this thing where he's given this speech about how he's been busting his ass for 20 years. How his first musical was a huge flop. I don't know what it was. Do you?
I have
The
no
first
idea.
musical he was in, but he talks about how it was a
I know he
huge
was
flop.
in Spring Awakening.
Yeah,
and
but he
they
was
awoken
nominated.
his homosexuality.
Yeah, and he was nominated for. Oh,
Yeah, this was his third nomination, his first win.
Yeah, it was. I wanted to say Sarah Michelle Gellar, but that's not it. Leah
Michele.
made him realize he was gay.
Have you watched the?
Yes.
Yeah, she showed
Yeah,
him her
she showed-
hoo-ha, and he was like, "Yep, gay."
Please don't give me 2 reasons in one day to say the phrase "meaty vagina."
He never said it was meaty.
No. I was making a joke. I don't know what they look like.
They or just hers?
Any of them
Oh,
in general.
never seen one.
I mean, not in. Maybe I have. I don't know. I watched that show on Max, and I can see that.
But you've never
there's
seen
a
one in
variety.
person?
There's a variety of them. I don't know that I have. I mean,
when I was in the
don't
military,
make me tell you about my childhood.
when I was in
but-
the military, I went to a strip club. Guys took me to a strip club, and they bought me a lap dance, and she took me back in the back, and she was waving hers in my face, and it had 2 little cat eyes tattooed above it. And she was like, I was so not interested.
No wonder you're gay. That would scare the piss out
I
of
was
me.
so not interested.
Why does it have eyes?
And she stopped, and then she's like, honey, can I ask you a question? I was like, sure. She goes, are you gay? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay. And we sat in there and chatted, and then when we came out, she said I was the best lap dance that she's ever given.
when you
With my
said
friends.
that to her, when you said you were gay, did one of the eyes wink?
No,
Oh,
no.
it's too bad.
They
That'd have been
opened
talent.
real wide. And I was like, well, that's a trick.
Oh my god, that gets my ticker going.
Anyway, so yeah, I've seen a few up close.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Okay, so then the shit we talk about. So then Outsiders won for favorite musical.
Favorite musical. I will say, once I found out Hillary Clinton was a producer on
You wanted Suff.
I really wanted Suff to win because I wanted her to give a speech holding her Tony about how she's never been indicted. But I'm happy Outsiders won.
I wanted her to make a joke.
Yeah.
About like she could have said something about how like during the suffrage movement women were arrested and convicted, or like there could have been some way to squeeze in.
But
a little.
you know what? That's how she's different than you and I. She's classy. She's like, I'm not gonna muddle down here, make stupid jokes. This is about the Tonys. This is about Suff. I'm not going to get up here and sing my entire catalog on stage when there's a whole show of people who can do it.
I can't even imagine. Can you imagine what the world would be like if she had, she won the popular vote. If she had been president instead, just how different the world would be.
I forget what I was watching, but they were talking about, imagine where the world would be right now if every president who won the popular vote was allowed to be president. We'd have had Al Gore. We'd have had two Al Gore, 2 Obama, and 2 Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And right now we'd be going into she'd be pushing the first term of President Pete Buttigieg.
Would it be?
We'd have 2 terms of Buttigieg.
Anyway, nice.
Tonys were good.
Yeah, Tonys were good.
I had a good time. Not bad for a Ringo Starr performance.
Yeah. Until next year, Tonys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good shit going to be out there. I bet we'll be talking about Audra McDonald.
Oh my God. There was Audra McDonald is going back to Broadway.
She's in Gypsy. It's in previews right now.
You've got the one we talked about, Nicole in Sunset Boulevard. Who else? I read some other like big names announced that they're coming to Broadway this fall. Like huge shows are coming. So
if you have any money at all, if you can save up any money and you want to see an incredible performance, I haven't seen this. I can only imagine how good it is. Save up everything you have, go to New York and see Audra McDonald in Gypsy so you could hear her sing Rose's Turn. Like, it has got to be insanely amazing. I've seen her in concert, and it's just, it's unlike any other show. So I can't imagine how incredibly wonderful this show is. Anyway, I love Broadway, love theater. We're going to see Les Mis next week.
Yeah.
So,
we are.
Good stuff. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll discuss it.
Oh, Sutton Foster is going to be in Once Upon a Mattress. That's coming. Sorry,
I saw her in concert too. She did a concert at the Steinmetz.
Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler are doing Romeo and Juliet. Kit Connor from yeah. We should go see that.
We just moved to New York. We can put the paper together up there.
Death Becomes Her. Megan Hilty.
Oh yeah, Megan Hilty. She's good.
Yeah. So many good things. We just need to move to New York. Go see all these shows.
Let's do it.
Anyway, unfortunately, next week we won't be in New York. We'll be right here.
But
not
okay.
unfortunate
We're
for
gonna
you.
be right here
our
for you.
Our loyal listeners.
All of you Broadway stars that listen to us, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for giving us the Tonys.
Yes. And
thank you,
for
Audra.
giving us your voices.
You know, Audra, you could send us a couple of tickets.
Yeah. Do it.
And we'll talk about it on the show.
Yes.
You already know we're going to love it.
Anyway, you mull that over, and until then, the cork is back in the bottle.